Yeah, cool. So I'm going to whiz through the Alexa stuff because we're now really running short, and apologies for that. That's my fault. So I will just get this started and then share my screen. Good. Share screen. So I haven't looked at much of this in a little while, actually, as I said at the start. But I did have a couple of hours to have a play with it earlier on, and looks like nothing actually much has changed since the last time I looked at it. And creating skills isn't actually any different, other than in the intervening period, there's been some improvements, which I'll briefly talk about. So that's all about me. I'm going to whiz through that. So has anybody got an Alexa? I
don't actually.
Really? Oh, crikey.
No, behind the times.
Yeah, a little bit. Or maybe ahead of them. I don't know, one or the other, if you're a security conscious person. But it's a hands-free speaker, but it's a personal assistant. Allows you to be able to do a plethora of different things, most of which you ask for. I've muted my Alexa because I say Alexa quite a few times. But we have invocation, intents, and utterances. And I'll go into those in a bit more detail. And it's designed for voice first, which makes you think in a different way entirely, and connects out to a Lambda in one way or the other. So we have a skill name. We start with a skill name, and it doesn't have to be unique at all, but it's the name that appears if you go into the skill store and try and find a skill. And then we have an invocation, as it's called. And this is a 2-word, unless you're Nike or Amazon, a 2-word phrase that you use to start your skill up. And it doesn't have to be unique, because once you've added that skill, then you're off. And it can be different to that skill name that we had at the top there, but you can't use copyrighted things. So you can't have, I don't know, like My Amazon or something like that. It's not going to work. They do check on that. Once you've created the skill and you've got a skill name, we have a chat here. I need to pop out. Oh, okay. Yeah, no worries, John. Thanks for coming. Yeah, so you then go into something called intents. And so each skill can do certain things. So they've got functions that you create within them. And you can have more than one. So kind of, if you imagine them like sections of your skill, and you give that a name. So it'd be like hello or tell me a joke. There'd be 2 different functions. And you have a way of kicking off that particular section by using something called an utterance. So if you imagine, you could say, tell me a joke, or give me a joke, or tell me something funny, to do the same sort of, to kick off the same sort of function. And you can define all of those and point them at the same section of code, if you will. So I have got time to show you how to build a really quick skill. And to do that, I've got to get, tell you what, let me stop sharing just a second. And I'll see if I can find the links that were all nicely there a second ago. And of course, since everything crashed, they've disappeared. So let me get the first link. Just one sec. Ah, good. Right, I'll share this again. So I probably won't get much time to actually delve into how to create a whole smart home skill. So there's a little bit of difference, but if I create a regular skill first, then you'll get some idea about how that works. So we're here at the developer.amazon.com, and we're in the Alexa Ask console. So you just go to this address to create a new skill, if you like. And you give your skill a name. So I'm going to have Pete Test 2. Actually, we'll call this next gen 1. And you can choose from some different models that you can start from here. So you can have a flash briefing or a smart home or a video or custom, if you like. And you can have your own Alexa ones here. So if that's all working correctly, so we do custom and Alexa hosted, and we can create a skill then. And then it gives you some templates, which is really nice if you're just starting out. So we have a few there that give you some facts or a quiz, and they've just got some boilerplate already spun up inside there for you. But we'll just do Hello World because who doesn't want to do Hello World when we're talking about IoT? And hopefully it won't take a whole minute. It's saying that it's an Alexa hosted skill. And so that's hosted within this developer platform here. So the code also lives within that platform. And that's one of the things that's relatively new. And in fact, you don't get that option when you're doing a smart home skill. Normally what you'd have to do is create an AWS Lambda function and then hook the two things up. So you have the Lambda code running in, if you like, Node, or you can run it in C# or Python, and you have that running as a Lambda. And then when you invoke the skill, when you say the skill name, that normally reaches out to that Lambda for what it needs to do. So it's giving you some stuff that you need to get done here. And I don't actually know why they've ticked them because they're not done. So change me, I wouldn't have that. So let's do. This has got to be something that you can actually invoke. So I'm going to do. Let's do. I'll try next gen, but I'm betting you that it won't like that. But we'll try it anyway, and we can save that model at that point. And then we've got a hello world intent here, and this is a part of our skill. So this is a function that if you say any of these, it will do something, and it will do something that you specify in this code here. So you have, this is node code sitting here. And this is just the index.js. And we have a launch, and this is what happens when it starts. And again, I'm not going to go into too much detail about how this works, but it will spit out this bit of text here as a speech. It'll just say welcome. And then if you say hello, then it'll start this piece of code to say, this is your hello world intent handler. And it knows to do that because down at the bottom, you specify it when we add these request handlers. So again, apologies for not digging too much into detail about this, but that's how that particular bit is working. So we've done that piece. Back to build. We've got a sample intent now already. We need to build the model, it's saying. So we're building it now. So successfully build your interaction model. And all being well, that's actually built, but let's, now it's doing that. Quick build in progress. And stop me if anything isn't making any sense at this point, because I know I'm flying through it. I've got, 7 minutes now to demo a fully working Alexa skill. So that's that. We can evaluate this, if you like, and do hello in there and submit it and see what it does. And there, so it knows that it was that hello world intent that needed to do something with. So that works quite well. But we can test it here as well. If I click on test, there's something you've got to remember to do, and test is disabled for this skill. This used to be less prominent. And the first time I gave this full talk, I spent maybe 10 minutes until I figured out that I'd not put that on. So I've got, if I click this, ask next gen hello. Oh, ask next gen hello. busy. I think I can just do hello in there. I think I named my, oh, there we are, hello world. Ask next gen hello. Hello world. There, so we tested that basic idea and it knows that that code has been used. Hello world. And we can test that just so you prove that it is actually working. Hello next gen. And we can save that. And we can deploy that. And then go back to test. Ask next gen hello. Hello next gen. And then if you wanted to, we go to build please, not code. We could add a whole new intent here quite easily. So we have our intent, so we can click this add button next to it. We can create a intent. So let's call it tell me a joke. Actually, let's do it nicely. Tell me a joke intent. And now this is where we're adding in our utterances, the way of doing it. So tell me a joke is one of them. And another way of doing it is tell me something funny. So that's two different ways of doing that. And we can save our model again and build it. Quick build. And it trains it, so it knows that you've typed these two things in, so it has to do a bit of AI and ML stuff to be able to train it to understand those things. It will figure out bits in between them as well. But this is primarily what it's going to be using to figure out what it is you're trying to ask it to do. So it's not going to do very much at all at the moment because there's no code for that particular intent. But I can copy this hello world one, change that to tell me a joke intent, and this as well, because this is what's using to figure out what which one it needs to use. And then we can do something like that, the world's most terrible joke, and that. And then we need to tell it to use that down at the bottom down here. So know where to find that, save that, and deploy it. And being as I've gone really fast, the chances of this working first time are low. But I think I've done that. Tell me a joke intent handler, and tell me a joke intent. I think that's okay. And build. Oh, did I click deploy? Can't remember. I'll deploy it again just in case. Deployed. So I'm just going to double check my intent was tell me a joke. Tell me a joke intent. Yes, that seems to be okay. So I should be able to go to test and ask next gen to tell me a joke. There we are. Well, it's black and white and red all over. And in fact, if I turn my Alexa back on again rather, and start that up. Alexa, ask next gen to tell me a joke.
What's black and white and red all over? A newspaper.
There we are. That was the fastest skill building that you'll ever see. That was mega fast. Now, I mentioned earlier that for a smart home skill, it's a little bit different. I saw there's something pop up in the chat there somewhere. I can't see it for some reason. It's hiding. Oh, here we are. Clap. Oh, clap. Thank you. Thanks, James. For smart home, and I'm not going to be able to delve into this too much, but I can talk to you about how it works. So you've got this same skill arrangement here, but you don't get the code because it's not hosted in this developer platform here. So at that point, you have to have a Lambda sitting there. And there's a whole, I'll post the link. There's a really good Amazon tutorial that you can work through that works through a smart home skill. But you create it similarly, but you don't need to tell it the intents in here. You don't tell it how to do things in here. You tell it to do it in the smart home skill. Once you've created the basic smart home skill, you just got to link the AWS Lambda into the smart home skill, and you've also got to tell the AWS Lambda that it can accept incoming requests from that smart home skill, and all of that's on the screen at the same time. So you'll see all of that. And the other thing you've got to do is, because it's a smart home skill, people have to link that skill to their account to get it to work. And when you ask your Alexa to discover devices, and I demonstrate all of this in the full talk, but when you ask Alexa to discover devices, she then goes away and looks at all of the connected skills to your account that have got smart home embedded in them, and it'll find the devices that are listed in the AWS Lambda function. But to do that, you've got to authorize it, and so you can do login with Amazon. There's a login with Amazon platform that you can use, and you add that as your authorization element to the smart home skill as well, and then that hooks those three little bits together. So then once you've got the skill enabled on your account, you just say, Alexa, turn on the lamp. And so long as lamp is one of the names of a smart home device that you registered when you discovered them, then it'll turn it on or turn it back off again. I would have shown you a demo of that, but I ran out of time and didn't actually get much of a chance to do it. But on YouTube, I did post a small video of it working. There's that gives you the Alexa side of that whole argument, but then there's the Raspberry Pi side as well. And the Raspberry Pi needs to know when to turn that light on. In my particular case, a Raspberry Pi, but any IoT device, it needs to know when to turn that light on and when to turn that light back off again. So let me switch to my other account. There we go. And then my videos. There we go. So I'll just demonstrate what this, it's not particularly complicated. I'll need to share my computer audio.
Mains powered equipment, including the relay.
And then probably need to, it's probably taking longer than it ought to have done really. Sound should be coming out. But because it's coming out, it's because I've got the headphones on. So all that aside, I tell Alexa
within this Patras and double 13 amp faceplate.
We can hear it, Pete, just so you know.
And I've now refactored the skill to use a smart home skill rather than a traditional skill. So now I can say, Alexa, turn the lamp on.
Okay.
Alexa, turn the lamp off.
Okay.
Good. So I'm glad you could hear that and I couldn't. It's the right way round. But you can see I've got a Raspberry Pi and a little bit of a breadboard here, and inside there I've got a relay and a lamp connected to it. And the Raspberry Pi is going through something called AWS IoT Core, which is a bit like the Azure IoT Hub that I explained earlier on, but AWS's version of it. And in your smart home code, in your function Lambda, you can interface out to that IoT core service, and you can set variables on and off in something called a device twin or a device shadow. And what you have then on the Raspberry Pi is some code that also looks at AWS IoT Core and its own device shadow, and it's constantly monitoring that device shadow for changes. And so you just have the lamp status as a variable in that shadow. And when you tell the lamp to go on from Alexa, your function then reaches out to the AWS IoT Core shadow and just flicks that variable over, and the Raspberry Pi is monitoring that and then changes the state of the relay. There are other ways of doing it, and there are services that you can run directly without having to do that. But the problem is that ports don't get opened to be able to communicate from AWS down to the Pi. And then you have to have all sorts of functions running, services running on the Pi to be able to tunnel out. And it's just nasty. But this provides a more concrete way of doing it.
Have you seen that question from Andy? Pete?
No, hold on. Let's see. Do the other cloud providers have that device? Yes. So again, over in Microsoft's Azure, in the IoT Hub, you had a device twin, it's called over there, and that works exactly that same way. So the good thing about these two things is that they're stateless, and the IoT device itself can go offline, and you can switch that state, and then you know that when the IoT device comes back online and it looks at what that state should be, it'll automatically take it on board. And you can also use that device twin to find out when the last time that device connected to that service was as well. And you can specify all sorts of stuff in that twin or shadow if you're in AWS to be able to segregate all of these devices out. So you can push feature changes out that way as well if you like. Or, in this smart home idea, perhaps you've got 2 or 3 Raspberry Pis dotted around the downstairs of your home and 2 or 3 upstairs. You can segregate them out so that you only then turn all of the lights downstairs off when you go to bed or something like that. But that's how I hooked up my Raspberry Pi, was through that. Is there a way to add parameters to the Alexa lambdas, please? Turn lamp on and off. Yes. Essentially, you have turned the lamp on, and that parameter is the on part is the parameter and off is the parameter. So if I go back to my, go all the way through this way to this, go to build. So they're called slots. If I go to my tell me a joke intent that I created a minute ago, we have slots down here, and you can specify them up here with, I think it's curly brackets, there we are. And you can create a new slot called, so if I do, tell you what, let's just do something, I can't even get rid of that, there we are. Tell me you can do joke type joke and add that. And there we are, there's joke type. And then you can do different things with this. You can set the type of slot it is, and they're just default. So you could use color. So it might be tell me a blue joke if you wanted to, or whatever you want in there, but or food or anything like that. So they're predefined words that it knows to put in there. And there's actually way more in there since the last time I looked. But there's a plain text one in here somewhere as well, which I can't remember what it's called. But that just allows you then to be able to go and do something with it. And you can list your different bits in there and then do something different with it. But you would then pass that into the code. I go to the code. It's going to complain probably, leave. I'm not sure if it'll be obvious in here, but when it gets into this handler, it passes in the slots as well. I think you need to add something to get it to do that. I can't remember what it is actually. But yeah, you pass in the slot into your function here, and then you can parse it out and do what you like with it. I created a skill for my daughter's school, and I can ask it who the teachers of year 1 are, or when the start of the summer term is, or who the head teacher is. and they were using slots for those various different bits, and then I use those to select out the bits of code that I need to run. Does that answer your question? Got it. Thank you. Cool. That's all right. So yeah, I wonder if I got anything in the slides that sort of, yeah. So this is all about the AWS Lambda. I've not got much time to talk about that because we're already at 10 minutes over. And then there's the voice service, and there's some links there to that, although these might be a little bit old. So you can guess from that date in the bottom right-hand corner. There's some development kits you can get as well. The good thing with this is I didn't actually need an Alexa at all to be able to do this. You can do it all there in that development environment. All in here, you can do all your testing in there directly. Or if you want to, you can do it on your phone as well, on your mobile phone. Just download the Alexa app, and that allows you to do that directly from in there as well. So that's quite handy. This is IoT Core, so very similar to the Azure version. Allows millions of devices to connect, and it has that offline capability for the shadow. And you have your devices connecting out to IoT Core, and then you can go out to the various different resources afterwards. That's just a little bit about the bits that I've got: a Raspberry Pi and a relay through a socket to a lamp. Coding, yeah, you can code your lambdas in JavaScript, in Node, there, Python, C# if you like, in .NET Core, and I was using Node for mine. Yeah, that was the end of the slides. So has anybody else got any other questions? I'm sorry it was very sort of top level and rather speedy, but I hope you got at least something out of it. And perhaps if you get in touch with Annie, if you want a more in-depth version of any of this, then I can certainly come back at a later date and go into a bit more detail. I've stopped sharing, by the way, you might have noticed. No worries. Thank you. Daniel says thank you. Are you still there, Annie? Or
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, does anyone have any questions? Or
we can't see you anymore.
Hold on. I stopped my video. I didn't want to detract from the attention on you. Well, Martin's got a question. Have you seen that one?
Yep, he's a Google Home user. Interested to see. I've not actually tried Google Home. There's a guy, Steve Pears, who's an awesome Alexa advocate in our local area in Nottingham, and he maintains the .NET SDK for Alexa. He's fantastic, and when he first started looking at the SDK, he looked at not only Google Home but also the Cortana voice code, and he said that both Google and Cortana were a lot more difficult to get into than the Alexa skill set was. So I never even bothered looking at it, but I do keep thinking I should go and see how that all works, but you know, unlimited time and all of that.
No, thanks, Pete. That was really, really good. Really appreciate you doing them quite speedily as well, so we can get more topics in. No, oh God, it's absolutely fine. No, thanks for bouncing back quickly. That was really good for everyone else, because I know some people joined halfway through the DevOps one. You might have missed this, but Pete does have another talk next week on C# on the Raspberry Pi. And he does, as he mentioned at the start, have all of these talks online, or at least most of them, I think, Pete, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yeah, the C# one is online as well already. I did that down at Azure, Oxford, and somewhere else as well recently. But yeah, I've done that a few times. I like that. That's a good talk. And in fact, you can spin up .NET 5 on a Raspberry Pi now as well, quite easily. But yeah, I'll send the links to Annie, and she can tweet them out or whatever, or not tweet them, in fact, LinkedIn them out.
Yeah, I'm still getting on Twitter. Watch this space. I'll be on there soon.
Promo.
No. But yeah, I'd really encourage everyone to look at those. I'm going to be posting about another meetup I've got planned on the group today, which is going to be in another 2 weeks. So keep your eyes open for that as well. And as Pete said, just get in touch with either of us if you have any questions you want to forward on to him. Pete's obviously on LinkedIn. I'm sure he'll be happy for you to message him. But if you want to send them to me and pass them on, that's absolutely fine as well. Yeah, but thanks so much, Pete. That was really, really good. Thanks so much for your time.
Sorry it was so fast.
No, it's brilliant. Crash course, that's what we like.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a flavour.
Exactly, yeah. Good introduction.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Well, thanks so much, guys. I will be sharing the recording if you want to see it again. But otherwise, take care, everyone, and do stay safe, and do get in touch with anything that you need from either of us.
Thanks, Pete. Cool. Thanks, Annie.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thanks both. Cheers.
Thank you.
Good.